Shoutouts to Nukes33 for this video idea. I guess I've broken this down into like pieces, so I've talked about the Rune anvil, so just refer to these videos because I have made them already. So the Rune anvil and the Rune crafting bench and then the fishing stuff all have been talked about on my channel. I'll just leave a link to it in the description, so feel free to check them out. Because if I talked about everything, then there would kind of be a lot to go over. But yeah, fishing stuff with this guy. And then we got this cool bench over here. I guess there's this turtle as well. He's kind of cool, but kind of expensive, pretty pricey. Has the depth stepper for the depths for 1500 cubits, if that interests you. And you have the option for credits as well. And then over here, we got the bench. I highly recommend, if you can, try to craft these keys. This is going to be every single day it resets, so you can get the sparkling key. It just makes it so you can get one extra depth score. This makes it so you get one extra soul of the depth. This is from Delves, and this is from 5-star dungeons in D15. You can only craft 5 of them. It's limited. It's dumb. I don't know why it's like that, but I guess it's just to prolong the game a little bit more. But I guess this is going to be a guide for if you're just entering D15, so you might not be able to do all of this yet, but once you're able to, then I would recommend doing it. But let's take things one at a time. So when you enter D15, you're going to get a quest line. You'll have to talk to Saltwater Sam and go through his nonsense. It's actually not that bad up until you get to the Kraken delve stuff, because for Kraken you have to start at depth 175. It's pretty tricky, so you might need a group. And honestly, just do the quest line just so you can activate pretty much anything else, because you might run into an issue where something is just not appearing, and it's not appearing because you haven't finished that quest line. So finish the quest line. It's gonna have you do some fishing stuff, so do the fishing and just keep on going along with whatever it's asking you to. So that's gonna be my biggest thing here. By the way, I'm on a ship, so when you thought you could leave ships from D13, you were wrong, because they returned in D15. So ships are just always gonna be a thing with us, but it looks like this is an actual ship. I still don't understand why we call the D13 one ships, but we do. But anyway, while you're doing the questline stuff, you're gonna be wanting to make progress with the Rune anvil. So there's a lot of stuff to go through in here. Like I mentioned, I highly recommend checking out my video, but it's pretty much just gonna be this. These are gonna be the only two directions you can go in. So get this bottom stuff, then get this top stuff. And you want to eventually get to this over here, which allows you to get encrusted runic trunk boxes. This is the main purpose of doing D15, otherwise it's pretty much useless. There's like 3 dragons to go with this new area, and I guess I can show you guys if it does decide to spawn while making this video, but pretty much the invaders are replaced with like these obelisk things. That's what it's called, but it's gonna be like some statue thing that you can come over here, press E on to interact with it, and then you can craft one of 3 things. If you guys, I don't know if you played Genshin, but that place, that area that you go to heal yourself, it's kind of like one of those, but it's just straight up not. But you'll have one of 3 things to craft. One of them is effigiable, the pyric one. The other 2 you have to farm for. It costs insane amounts of resources. Oh, here we go. Here's the, I guess that was the invader. That's the little example. So that's what it spawns. Invader, depths, obelisk. There's 3 things you can craft. Each one corresponds to a dragon. So when you craft it, it creates a little mini boss. They're pretty easy to fight. They don't have like a one-shot ability, so that's pretty cool at least. But you fight it, and then the nearest 7 other players also get the rewards. So the fragments, it's a guaranteed drop. If there's more than 7 people, then good luck getting the fragments, because other people are probably going to take it. These things disappear after a certain amount of time, so something to be aware of. They don't stay here forever. It's like about a minute or something. I don't remember the exact time, but it does disappear. And when you craft something, it also disappears. So this is the pyric one. You can effigy this one, and it has a golden egg. The other 2, good luck. It's gonna take a ton of fish bones, ink bladder, all that stuff. It's gonna come down to these boxes. And if you want to do like a little estimate, like a little calculation of how many boxes it'll take you, I have a video opening a stack of these, so you can refer to that video as like a how many you would get per stack. But it comes down to you'll need encrusted runic trunks, because all the materials are just going to be in there. So these boxes, your main way of farming these is going to be from 5-star dungeons. 5-star dungeons is going to be your key thing for this. So in order to join them, first you can just join a D15 and see if anybody's hosting. And if not, then I'll leave a link to the Discord of Fulminaire, because there are people in there that host pretty much almost every day. So if you do want to join their farms, you can feel free to do that. If you're going to AFK in their farms, they're gonna probably have you pay your depth score that you earn in there, so just be aware of that. But as I mentioned, this is if you just enter D15, so you're not gonna have any key fragments, any plants, anything like that. So what I highly recommend when you're farming is go to this rune crafting bench, and depending on how far you got in this thing, you can go for the blank runes to start off with. So these break every time you complete a dungeon, and the idea is just getting rune fragments, because you're gonna need rune fragments for other runes and just other things in general. There's some runes in here with some handy abilities, like this one for example. Whenever it breaks, pretty much gives you gear crafter vaults. Sorry, I forget what I said, but this breaks when your magic find triggers, but whenever it does, it gives you the gear crafter vaults, and then it breaks. So that's the point of these runes. You craft them in order for them to break. And when it breaks, it gives you the rune fragments along with whatever else it's telling you to, and whatever else that it mentions in there. And these runes can be broken anywhere. It does not have to be D15. It can be broken anywhere. And for most of them, you're going to need rune paper, which this will require blank scrolls and just blocks. Of all things, you need building blocks. And same with this rune slate. It's glim, but you're gonna need the same blocks, and you'll need that to craft pretty much everything in here. So blank runes to start off with. And I do want to go over this ore rune stuff just a little bit. So if you go over here to the rune anvil, if you unlock this node over here, so this method got nerfed to the ground, but it is still kind of an option you can utilize. It's not going to be amazing, but it is an option. So by unlocking this node, when you equip a ore rune, there's a chance that you can get one of these encrusted runic trunk boxes. And I do recommend this because you will need some of the D15 ore. So the plan would be you go over here to the rune crafting bench. Hopefully you have some rune fragments from these blank runes that you already used, and you can use it to craft this ore rune over here and try to craft a pretty good amount of them. And blank rune is just an example. If you have this unlocked even further, then you can go for the empty rune, for example. And ideally, eventually, you're going to want to go for this node over here. Every time your rune breaks, you get additional rune fragments, so that way farming them becomes a little bit easier. I have tricks on how to get rune fragments in my video, so feel free to check that out. I don't want to get too in depth into that stuff, but like I was mentioning, there is stuff in here that's going to require the D15 resources, the new ore and all that stuff. So whenever you equip the ore rune, you can start breaking the blocks. There's a chance you can get encrusted runic trunks, and that'll give you a little head start of what is to come with like this bench, for example. This bench is going to have mastery items, and a couple important ones to note is going to be this one, for example, Engiro. People use this for depth stealth farming because it grants you a rare chance to get depth score and soul the depths when you defeat creatures. So when you're defeating those creatures, they're going to drop the rune fragments along with a chance for one of these. And as you can see, you will need some of these resources. Some of them are tradable, but some of them are not. Like these, for example, are going to be the plants, and that's going to be the big thing about D15. You have plants that are going to be on rotation, and I'll leave a link to the rotation stuff in the description down below as well. And I do know that there's a mod. If you have the mod, it tells you what the next rotation is, but each biome is going to have a specific plant. So for example, in Dragonfire Peaks, we're going to have these things over here. They're pretty easy to find, so you don't have to worry about it too much. The max is 100. I already have too much of this, but it's gonna clutter up your inventory, which is horrible. But it's this pirate core, and they have plants for everywhere, so that's gonna be fun collecting all of those. So Engiro is gonna be good, and then I've heard bad things about these allies. These are the ones that give you Pyric Essence, this one's Abyssal Essence, and this is Zephyr Essence, and it's when you open a dungeon chest in Longshade. The unfortunate thing about these is that it's only one, but I've also heard people say that they don't get any. So I don't know if that's bugged. I don't know if it's like a rare chance, but there's those options, and then there's also the ones from the store, but I believe they're gone by now. Oh no, it's this one over here, Chummy Chums. These also have the allies that are pretty much equivalent to these. They just have different stats. But like I was mentioning, it requires some of the resources in D15. These you can just straight up buy, but it's just nice to have the ore just so you have stuff to craft in case you do need them later on. And it saves some flux if you want to save some flux. So that's why for like a little bit, not that much, you can use that ore rune method. Just go along the entire D15 and just bomb the new ore. So it's going to be the new ore. So this stuff over here, and then the purple ones we bombed earlier. And then there's also the deep stone. Those are going to be a little bit more rare. But yeah, keep bombing those. Hopefully your runes are going to break, and there's a chance we'll get these boxes, like a very small amount, but at least it'll give you a start for the runic trunk boxes. You'll start to get some of the resources in there, and pretty much you're just going to get into this cycle of you're going to want to collect rune fragments, and you'll want to finish the rune crafting bench and obviously the rune anvil stuff. But there's some cool stuff to get in here, so like the 450 light repel rune, or the Zephyr rune over here, 450 light. But that's just if you want damage. If you want to just keep on collecting rune fragments, then go for the empty runes or the blank runes, whichever one is more convenient. Or you can even go for the shining runes if you want extra gear crafter boxes. And you want to work on completing this up until this node over here. So I'm kind of jumping all over the place a little bit here, but those D15 5-star runs, like there's a 5-star dungeon over here, you're going to need these special keys over here. So these are going to be related to the 5-star dungeons. Doesn't matter which one you use, but as soon as the 5-star is complete, you go back to the center and use these keys to open the chest. And from the chest, you're going to get a depth core. If you use a sparkling key, you'll get one extra. Now, sometimes you get essence, which is pretty cool. It's only one, but at least you're getting something. But you're going to want to collect a lot of key fragments from those 5-star dungeons. So the cool thing about doing 5-star dungeons, so these, for example, they're going to require runic key fragments. You'll get these from 5-star dungeons. I guess also dungeons, but the dungeons are pretty useless here. You're mainly going to stick to the 5-star dungeons. So for example, if you crafted 10 of these and you completed 10 5-star dungeons and open the vaults, you get extra of these key fragments to get more than 10 keys. I don't know the exact number, but let's just say you crafted 10, you use them all, you can craft 20. It's probably not that exact number, but just know that it's always going to go up. Whereas if you use the delve ones, these will lose you profit since it costs more of these runic key fragments. This one's 25, this one is 5, but you will want to use these for the soul of the depths since they're untradeable, so make sure you're getting them. And if you can try to get the sparkling key, they only appear once a week, whereas these ones repeat daily. I don't know why they did it that way. Now this part's a little bit of a blur to me because I do not fully remember. I know this is probably going to show up as a recipe for you. I can't remember if the depths delve also shows up as a recipe. I could be wrong on this, but I'm pretty sure if you were to get the biome memento, that unlocks the recipe. It pretty much unlocks this for you. It's gonna be the same with the kraken one. There's a boss one for this. I believe it is memento related. Like I said, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it's not, assuming it does have the recipe thing. But you also have the option to get it from the turtle if you have some of these, and you can also get them from the marketplace if you want to buy them. Pretty expensive, but you have those options. But on Mondays, depending on what clubs you're in, you'll probably find people advertising for the depths delve farms, since on Mondays you get bonus soul of the depths, and by bonus it's just one extra, which is something, I guess, but better than nothing. And the ideal strategy for depths delve is you start at 170 because that's just what it starts you at, and people always reset at 178, so whenever you get the final vault there, it does end at 182, but it's just the enemies just get too tanky, the objectives are going to be too painful to go through, and you're probably going to want a group to farm this with. So make sure you got that taken care of. Make sure you have light so you're actually doing damage. Make sure you have ring abilities, make sure you're fully prepared, because those delves are pretty scary. And that's pretty much the cycle that you're going to go through. So Mondays, you're going to do those delves. You could do them on other days, but it's better to do them on Mondays. And then all the other days, you can do D15 5 farms. So that way you're going to get extra key fragments. Once you get the node unlocked, you're going to get the runic trunk boxes. And this is what you're going to use to get the rest of your long shade materials that you need for the dragon and just other mastery collectibles. Going back to the bench, there is a lot of collectibles in here. So if you do plan on collecting mastery, then don't forget about this bench. The enemies in here are pretty tough. I have 12.4k light and I don't do a ton of damage. So just basic attack. It's a lot of damage, but not enough damage. So alright, so here we have a actual boss. Let's see how long it takes. They're pretty tanky. I don't do a ton of damage, but I guess you can consider that a lot of damage. It just takes a little bit of time, which is the annoying part. We're currently unable to one-shot him, but we can get kind of close. Like, I am missing a bit of light. I don't have my rune equipped. And then there are certain buffs you can activate, like there's a ship buff from the star chart you can use. I know some people utilize that. Some people use the bard buff. So far at the moment, there's only 2 5-star dungeons. And like I mentioned, you're going to want to refer to my previous videos on how to complete the rune crafting bench the fastest way, and same with the rune anvil. Make sure you're doing the quest. Keep doing 5-star farms, keep doing depth delve farming. One thing I'll mention with the fish though, try to get 2 of each rare fish. I think it was the rare fish, because you're going to need the rare fish to loot collect for your own mastery, and then you're going to need the rare fish for tributing for some other part of the quest. It'll make more sense once you go through your quest line, but you're going to want to have 2 sets of each fish. I have a guide for the fishing stuff like I mentioned, but there's one thing I want to mention before I set you guys loose on your adventures in D15. So I'm just going to throw an origin portal to go back here. So this is the spawn area, and around the spawn area is going to be some water. So this is where you can fish, and that's how you get the new fish. It's going to be in around the spawn area. You can check the fish pools. Each fish pool corresponds to specific fish. It's going to be hard for me to explain it until you guys look at the spreadsheet, but the spreadsheet is in the fishing video. It's a long, painful process, but just know that for the quest, the fishing stuff, it's going to be in this area. Now, I hope I'm not forgetting anything important. Maybe I am, but if I did, please drop something in the comments down below, but I'm pretty sure I covered the majority of it and the important bits. If you guys are curious on like the main classes to use here, Boom Ranger, Solarion, great classes. Revenant is good for grouping up the enemies, same with Candy Barb. For the 5-star dungeons, they have cursed skulls. There's a bunch of enemies that kind of scatter around. They're super annoying to fight, and on top of that, they're incredibly tanky. So single damage target characters are gonna be a little bit of a struggle. So this is kind of where you kind of want the meta classes. Like if I played Fate Trickster here, it's not going to be that good. And I guess it does do damage. It could be usable, but you want to do as much damage as fast as possible. That's just what I recommend. If you still don't like the meta characters, that's fine. You can stick to whatever character you want, but maybe you have like an extra class that could help benefit whoever you're farming with. So like Candy Barb, you can help group up the enemies, same with Revenant. Bard, you can give people buffs, so make them do a little bit more damage, things like that. And like I mentioned before, the ring abilities, just make sure you're using that. I'm going to go over the best ring abilities in a future video, so stay tuned for that. But for now, you can refer to my all class build video to see which class needs what ring ability and stuff like that. Alright, I went over a lot in this video. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully you guys are ready to take on D15, or maybe you're not. Maybe you just don't want to participate in this content. I don't blame you, the grind is insane. I'm also going to leave a link in the description. Summer made a insane spreadsheet that goes over a lot of content in Trove, and one of it is going to be the gear. So the cost for Mystic gear and how to upgrade it, how much you need to upgrade it, and for whatever reason, if you wanted to loot collect it, how much you would get back. So everything will be linked below. I think I mentioned this already, but that ore method I talked about with the rune, it's horrible, but it could get you an early start, which is nice. Make sure you have an efficient way of farming rune fragments, because you're going to need a ton of that. I don't want to make this video any longer, but I think you get the point from here. It's gonna be a lot of 5-star farming, and it's gonna be a lot of breaking runes so you can get the rune fragments and some depth style farming. So yeah, that's gonna be it for today's video. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed. Drop a like, subscribe if you're new to the channel, or if you find yourself coming back, and I'll see you guys later.